So this is massively epic. It is so epic. This is less than a mile into the hike, and this is the payoff. Super simple. It's a blue sky, no filters, handheld, f8. Everything's way out there. I don't have any of these little flowers in this shot. And I'm already thinking a 16:9 or maybe, yeah, something to that effect, so I can get a few of these trees on the left and then the whole shoulder of Mount Hood on the right. And I like putting that river, it's down over here in the valley. I like putting that in the right-hand side of the frame. The big thing is that snow is super bright, so I'm making sure I'm checking my highlights and my histogram, because if I blow those out, I'll be sad when I get home. So I'm just double checking those. Yeah, ISO 100, f8. If the shot comes out, I'll show it to you right now. This is Sahalie Falls. Quite the scramble to get down here like that way. Luckily there's a lot of roots and I come down on my butt because I did not want to fall, because you tumble all the way down and end up, it'd be bad. Beautiful waterfall. I've never photographed it. I've seen it from the road, which is back there's the road. There it is. There's the bridge. I've seen it from there, but I've never hiked down to it. Late in the day is your best opportunity. The sun is out of the frame. Everything looks good. It's all about just dialing in our shutter speed and then getting the shot. There's a lot of spray off the falls, which feels really good. It's about 86 degrees out here today. Really, really hot for the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to get set up, get a shot. So I'm trying to find some different compositions. I tried 16 millimeters to try to put some of the rocks here in the foreground in the image. Then I zoomed in to like 24 millimeters just to eliminate the foreground and just kind of focus on the falls. But I don't know which one I'm going to like the best, so I can actually see it on a computer. It's kind of hard to tell exactly. When I've got the rocks in the foreground, down here I've got a lot of empty space before the waterfall. So I don't know if I really like that. I'm using a polarizer to pull that glare off the water right here to show all that prettiness that's underneath it. But it's beautiful. I don't want to include too much of the sky. You can see that it's blue up there. So I'm cutting the frame off about right there. Right about there is about all I'm including on it. I'm doing a few shutter speeds, 1/10 of a second, 1/6 of a second, 1/13 of a second. A lot of water falling really fast. So I want to get a good look in the water. And then I'll be able to pick when I get back on the computer. I'm going to try a couple more compositions around a little bit further around and less sketchy on the edge of this boulder that I'm standing on. And then I'll pick my favorite one. And if I can't decide, I'll let you choose. Good morning. Today we're headed up to Elk Meadows, and it's a blue sky day. I say it, I'm up here in the Mount Hood Wilderness for the next couple days, getting ready for my Milky Way workshop, which happens tomorrow night. And with blue sky days, you're not going to get much of a sunrise or sunset as far as like clouds or epic colors or anything like that. So Elk Meadows is, as the name implies, a big meadow, and it's wildflower season, and it should have some really good views of Mount Hood. So if you've got a meadow and you got wildflowers and you got Mount Hood, even with a blue sky, might be a nice photograph. But I've never been there before. It's my first hike. It's quite the trek, and it's a lot of up to get up to the meadows. So probably not a lot of B-roll because I'm old. But show you what it looks like when I get there. The first big obstacle is this raging river, trying to get across without getting hurt. It's doable because we've passed people on the trail that have been up to Elk Meadows, but they're like 30 years younger than I am. That makes it a lot easier. Not to mention that with this water, it's a lot faster than you think it is, and there's no way to tell how deep or what's on the bottom. So if your foot slips and you go down in the water, best case is you get wet. Worst case is you sprain an ankle or twist a shoulder, have some kind of issue like that, and then it's a long way out and you're in trouble. My goal is not to ever be in trouble. So walking up the river, just looking to see if there's a little bit easier, safer place to get across, and then I got to remember that on the way back as well. So I managed to scramble across all these dead trees at a narrow point, and it was super sketch, and I'm not going to do that on the way back. But once I got halfway, I was kind of committed. So next time I'm going to get my feet wet at the best possible place that I can pick. So I don't have to worry about it till on the way back. So keep on going on the trail. It's a long way up now. Ugh. Elevation climb is complete. We're at about 5,250 feet. There's a little bit of snow left. I'm actually walking on some pretty firmly packed snow right now because of the just the huge amount of snow that happens up here at Mount Hood in the wintertime. This is July 5th. But anyway, it's leveled out, which is a beautiful thing. And we're not at the meadow yet. So when I get there, hopefully there's a payoff of some kind, because that was hard. Anyway, we'll pick it up when we get to a viewpoint. So I made it to the meadow. This is really pretty. Some few flowers over here, not as many as I was hoping for, but it's some. Bad news, it's really, well, not bad news, it's just really boggy. I mean, it's muddy all through here. And there's about 1 trillion mosquitoes, gnats, and other biting insects. But not too bad in the direct sun, but they're still flying everywhere. Couldn't imagine camping here. It would just be a nightmare of giant blood-sucking mosquitoes just taking you away. I'll show you the mountain, but there's some issues. The trees are so close, they're taller than the mountain, and that kind of, to me, that kind of hurts the image. But let me show you what I'm talking about. You can see there's Hood, but all these trees here in the meadow are so close to us. They're a lot taller than the mountain, and that makes the mountain look less majestic and imposing and awesome, because these trees are so much taller and it's so much smaller in the frame. And if you want to catch any of these wildflowers here, you're going to have to go wide angle, wider anyway, and going wider is going to make that even smaller and those even taller. So maybe walking over that way, getting a different perspective from here might be better. This is marginally better. At least we've got some framing elements on either side of Mount Hood, but unfortunately there are 0 flowers, or very few little bitty yellow ones here in the foreground. If this was a sea of color, that would be a nice photograph. But there's no color there, there's no flowers. So, not so much. After walking around the entire meadows, there were no other viewpoints other than the ones that I showed you on the video. And I didn't even pull my camera out of the bag. And I want you to know, if you're a landscape photographer, that that's not unusual. I didn't bother pulling my camera out because I knew I couldn't make a really good photo that would be better than just taking an iPhone snap or what you saw in the video. It needed those wildflowers in that foreground, in my opinion, in order to make it really, really good. And without that, it was just a picture of Mount Hood with some trees. And this was a beautiful hike, don't get me wrong, but it definitely didn't produce any photos at all today. It was just a day to get out and hike. I'd get across that river crossing, which I got to do in just a little bit as I head back down. So I sat on my butt and I just hoisted myself across this log. And besides being uncomfortable a lot, it was okay. So now, back to the parking lot. After a very long, like an hour of going like 5 to 10 miles an hour up this very gravelly, just rutted road to the top. This is Cloud Cap Inn, and this building behind me used to be an inn. It's no longer in service, but it's like a national historic place. And pretty much we're at the end of the road, literally. There's nowhere else to go. And there's Mount Hood back there. I've never been up here before. The wildflowers are really kicking here, so I'm hoping I can find a place where I can put some wildflowers and Mount Hood together. But the van did pretty well. Just a lot of dust, it was pretty rugged trying to get all the way up here. But made it. Now let's go look for a shot. So this is kind of the shot I framed up. I got all of this beautiful wildflowers here on this hillside. And then I got the trees, and then I've got the Cloud Cap Inn up there at the top, and then all the way up is Mount Hood. Being careful just not to blow out any of that extremely bright snow on a blue sky day. But this is a vantage point of Mount Hood that I haven't seen, which is pretty cool. The settings on this shot was pretty simple. Handheld, no tripod, f/16, so I get maximum depth of field between the flowers that are pretty close to me and the mountain all the way back there. And ISO like 200, so it's a little bit of a breeze, those flowers are moving. So I'm using ISO 200 and just keeping my shutter speed fast enough to really handhold it and to freeze the motion as those flowers are in the breeze, which feels really nice, by the way. Anyway, I'm gonna keep looking, see if I can't find something else. And if the shot comes out, I'll show it to you right now. shot right here. It's a little zoomed in from this, but I'm holding my camera, so it's really hard to point. But I like the trail coming in here from the left. I like these skeleton trees on the right and on the left, kind of framing it, and then Mount Hood right there in the middle. And I got really low, so more of this perspective on the shot I think works a little bit better, because we see the world from standing height all the time, but when you present a photograph that's not at a standard height, like really close to the ground, or something that maybe elevated, it's a perspective that you don't always get, and I think that's really, really cool to give it just a slightly different look. And getting down low, I think, helps accentuate the trail and gives it a little bit more of a leading line in that corner. So if this shot comes out, I'll show it to you right now. Hope you enjoyed the video. And before I go, I wanted to announce that I am giving away a 77mm magnetic filter set from K&F Concepts. Now, I reviewed these filters a couple of weeks ago. I'll leave a link to that video above so you can check it out. But to enter the contest, to get your name in the drawing, answer the question that I asked in the video, and be sure to let me know what your dream photography destination would be. Where would you like to go more than any other place to do photography? So leave that down in the comments below. That'll get your name in the contest, and I will pick a winner randomly on July 20th. That's when it's going to close, is July 20th. So make sure you get your name in by then. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.